Welcome. October 15th, 2024. My name is Joey Ragona. We are here for another heart-centered marketing show that is going to, I promise, to be epic because I have the most epic friends in the world. I have the most, the friends who go through tenacity, who just never, ever give up. Audra is one of them. She's been through hell and back. My gosh, she was just telling me. So if you haven't heard, Florida had a couple of hurricanes, and Audra was caught right in the middle of it. And lo and behold, like she is here to honor us, to share with her wisdom and everything else. But Audra, well, first of all, sorry to hear that. You went through some stuff, and I know you're in a little bit of a funk right now. But how you doing? You doing okay?
I am doing okay. It's definitely been a good challenge, right? We get a little complacent in our comfortable lives with air conditioning and beds and all that kind of good stuff. So sometimes when the universe kind of shakes it up a little bit, it's time to adjust and kind of reevaluate. So I'm kind of going through a refocus, reframe kind of, what's important. What do I really want to do? I really want to look at this hurricane and displacement and everything that goes along with it
Yeah.
as new opportunity, right? And see what I could do with it. I'm going to lean in and go with the challenges and see what happens.
I love that. I mean, that's the epitome of a true entrepreneur, and
Yeah,
it's so great that not that you went through all that stuff, but that you're
sure.
bringing this to the table. And I want just everybody to hear that. I mean, this is what heart-centered marketing is all about. It's yeah, we got the tactics, we got really cool things to talk
Yeah,
about, but it's the people. It's us. It's the
yeah,
heart-centeredness and the people who care not only about our clients and everything else, but just sharing with the world and helping everybody, but getting through things on our own. Because sometimes it's a really lonely battle, right? Like sometimes we're
yeah.
alone and we feel alone. And I saw on your page like how many people just rallied around to help,
Hmm.
and that really makes my heart smile. That
Yeah.
you have the community and tribe to go through
Mhm.
or to come to your rescue or to just give you just a helping hand, just a like a
Yeah.
little virtual hug, and that means a
Hmm.
lot.
Hmm.
So I'm happy. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being
Thanks.
here. Because I know this just happened. So let's get into
Yeah.
today and with your brilliance of AI, and you've been like getting into this. I don't even know really what we're talking about today. So
No.
I'm gonna let you lead, and I'll just
Okay.
jump in with my very little knowledge of what AI is doing for me. Where do you want to
Okay.
start? Where do you want to start?
Well, I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about small businesses and really what happens when something happens.
Mm,
And it's such a challenge. The majority of us are not prepared for it.
hmm.
I didn't think I was going to get hit by a hurricane 10 days ago or 12 days ago, whatever it was. And what happens to your business? How are you able to continue to keep business moving forward? Now, for those of you that don't know me, I own a marketing agency and I have since 2009. So I've been in the space a long time, but I still have clients. I still have client work. I have deliverables that need to happen. And we have processes, right? We have a regular routine. 1 minute I was fine, 3 hours later, I'm not fine. And
Mm,
it can happen that fast. And it made me kind of step back afterwards and saying, okay, am I really leaning into AI as much as I can to make sure that in the event something like this was to ever happen again, or, we always say build it so you can make money and be away, but how many of us actually do that?
right.
Right, especially when you're in a excuse me, especially when you're in a service business, it's a little bit tougher because you're providing that service. Yes, the tactics will get done. Yes, you delegate a lot of the how-to stuff, but you're still responsible for quite a bit of it. And it really just sorry, I got sick on top of all that.
It's all good.
Um, how do you lean into that and make sure that every your business doesn't miss a beat? Now, like I said, because I've been doing this for such a long time, my clients are like, do what you need to do, come back, we're ready to go. But not everybody will have that luxury. So I thought maybe we could spend a little bit of time talking about kind of the importance of implementing AI. Now it's no longer just a sexy tool or something fun to play with, but it really needs to become a strategic partner of your business.
Yes,
And
yes.
perfect example why.
Yeah, so okay, I'd love to explore that with you because
Okay.
I'm recently, you know, getting into or accepting that. I've already accepted it
Hmm.
to say like this is now a strategic partner. I always looked
Hmm.
at AI. I shouldn't say always. I recently because AI, it seems to me like AI has been around now forever, but it's only been like 8 weeks,
3.
right? So,
Yeah.
so you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to use AI as the tool, and now I'm looking at it as the strategic partner, like asking it to help me with the business. So, can you speak to that a little bit of what you just talked about? Can you explain to
Sure.
someone who really doesn't understand? I shouldn't say that, but like is new to AI, and how can that be a strategic partner? Like, what do you mean by that? And by the way, before you answer, just if you're watching us, let us know by hashtag live or hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. And if you want to ask a comment, because Audra's here, we can pick her brain as much as we can as in this hour and 10 minutes or so. So put them in the chat. If you got any comments, questions, or anything like that, please do so, and I will monitor them here. So if you see me looking away, that's what I'm looking at, my iPad, and the chat's over here. Audra, take it away.
Okay. Well, so what I would say first is, I mean, everybody knows AI has been here for a hot minute,
Yeah.
and some people have used it to create content. Some people have done some social media. Everybody's heard about prompting. Many of us have bought prompts and
Hmm.
kind of dug into that path. And for me, I've spent a ton of time creating different kinds of automations. There's
Okay.
some really great instructors on YouTube, but I still found that building those automations, there was a disconnect because I still had to manually take that content and do something else with it. So, yes, it saved me some time by creating the content, but I still had to do a ton of editing, and then I still had the whole workflow behind it.
Okay.
What I think is going to be important going forward is really being able to map out what your strategy is. And I'll really answer the question here in a second. But if we look at our business holistically, we have sales, we have marketing, we have operations. Maybe you have management, maybe you don't. Maybe it's just you and pretty soon you and your AI people.
Right.
But think about what does that workflow look like. And what I did was I stopped chasing shiny tools. There's a new one every day. There's
Yes.
something to learn. I mean, this industry is not going to slow down as far as being innovative
Hmm.
because we haven't hit a limit yet. So it's going
Hmm.
to continue to innovate until we figure out where it's going to go.
Hmm.
But being able to capitalize at where it currently is, that should really be the focus.
I
And it's
like that.
building, yeah, and it's leaning into things that are working right now. So, like I said, instead of going out and saying what can AI do to my business to make it more efficient or effective or help me generate more leads or sales, I actually go the other way around. What am I already doing that I do on a consistent basis that I can actually build a system for and let AI take it off my plate?
Right. I love that. Can you give us an example of that?
My water, sorry. An example would be, say I've got a workflow that every time I write a blog post, then I need to create social media for it to promote it. I'm going to send an email to my list to say, hey, I've got a new blog post. And then I'm going to create social media to go along with that on, specific to each one of the different platforms. Well, using AI, and I'm not selling anything, I'm just kind of telling you
Yeah,
what
for
I'm
sure.
doing.
We got yeah.
Um, I've built an automation that I start with a topic. So I want to write a blog post on X. It writes the blog post. It does the research through Perplexity, writes the outline, writes the blog post. And then when I sign off on the blog post, it creates the email, writes all the social media for LinkedIn, for Instagram, for
Wow.
whatever, creates my images, my thumbnails, and then I schedule it and it posts out to all my different platforms.
No
And I
way.
can and I can do that within 30 minutes max,
Okay, so
15
you
minutes.
mentioned okay, so perplexity, is that what you said? Is
Well,
that like
perplexities for research. So
okay,
if you think about our four, really the four leaders in the industry, you have ChatGPT by OpenAI, you
okay,
have Anthropic, which is their Claude model, you have Gemini by
yeah,
Google,
yeah,
and then Perplexity would be more like Google search. Kind of
okay,
think of it that way. So it's really good for research and digging into stuff. So with that example I just gave you, it's just I'm just creating a blog post, right? We have steps that we go through to create a blog post, right? We're going to research it. We're going to pick our keywords. We're going to pick our target audience. What is the goal? What place in the funnel is that content going to hit? Just like anybody
sure,
else would, just like the old days,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Before AI.
yeah,
And then what I've done is I use actually Airtable and
okay,
Make,
okay,
and I actually have tied in another platform, but I just build the steps out. So I feed it the data. We're going to write a blog post about this. Here's the target audience I'm going to hit. Here's my goal. Here's my first keyword, my secondary keyword. Here are any internal links, external links, just regular SEO stuff, right? But
wow.
I've mapped it all out. Then it sends off to Make. Make runs my automations, brings the content back and says, okay, based on your topic, my topic was how do fitness coaches generate leads?
Got
That
it.
was my idea. Then it'll go to Perplexity and find me stats.
Wow.
52% of coaches do this, 45% find this. And it actually gives me the link to the research so I can go out and verify, but it's already done all the work for me.
So where are you? Because I'm familiar both with Make, Zapier,
Okay.
obviously, and then Relay
Yeah.
app. Are you familiar with
Yeah.
Relay app?
Yeah.
I just love Relay for some reason. Like
Yeah.
Make was a little tricky for me at the beginning. I know
It
that
is.
they fixed it up, but Relay was like, wow, this is amazing. And that's when I really started to understand the strategic
Hmm.
part of it. Like going in,
Yeah.
like going into an email and Gmail and saying, just give me the body of this and tell me
Hmm.
what it is about, like stuff like that. I'm like, this is
Right.
incredible because you would normally have other people go, like even a VA to go look at that and tell
Yep.
you when that can do most of it for you. And here's where I'm getting to. The point is
Yeah.
that you could insert the human in the loop, is what they call. So
Mhm.
like, do this
Correct.
and then let me know about this, so I could go look at this and press yes or no or cancel or whatever. Is
Right.
that what you're talking about in terms
Yeah.
of? Yeah. Can you talk to
Yeah.
that a little bit, because you are way more advanced than me.
Well, I don't. I'm just maybe at a evolving into a different place at this point. The If I look at it before from a marketing perspective, I would say 70% of the work that we do as marketers was
Mm,
human. Maybe 30% was technology, and maybe even a little less. It was probably 80% us,
yeah.
because marketing's been a very, very manual process for the last 15 years. I
Yep.
mean, we have some good technology now, but it's still us,
Yeah.
right? We still have to figure out the strategy and the psychology behind it and how to create good content. So really, I mean, our skills have been very, very optimized to become experts that we have. Now we're kind of switching that. So with this, what I'm calling a content hub, I'm switching it. And now it's only like 30% reliant on me, and the other 70 is done with AI and technology.
Right.
So, yes, I'm still involved. So, it'll write content. I go in and say, okay, I like this. I don't like this. What if we use this? I make an edit, and then it continues running with
Right.
my updates. And then
Right.
once we get to a final draft, then we say, okay, great. We agree. This is what it's going to look like. Um, Take that, post it on WordPress. I actually have it posting everything on WordPress in draft. So it takes my image, it writes my excerpts, it writes my meta descriptions, writes the whole article, posts it on WordPress in HTML. So it's all formatted, ready to go with
Wow.
H1s, H2s, everything else. And then all you really have to do on the WordPress side is, now I could set it to go live.
Hmm.
I want one more final check before it goes live.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, especially on client sites, I really want just that one more set of human eyes to run through it just to make sure it's okay. but it posts to WordPress, and then it creates your email, and then it creates all your social media content, drops it into the calendar. And really, the part for me when it comes to content creation, there's a couple obstacles I was trying to overcome. One is consistency. It's
Yes.
so hard to be consistent with creating content for all of us, right?
Yes.
Even if you have a
Yes.
small team, it's
100%.
challenging to get it out. Two is being able to create the content and it actually be of pretty good quality, right? Most people, if we're lucky enough to get it up, we're all over the map as far as, wait, who are you talking to? And what was the purpose of that? And it's very, very challenging. And then the other is repurposing.
Mm,
I have quite a few clients that have a ton of content because they've been around so long and never sees daylight again. After that first push, maybe a second push, but it never sees daylight.
yeah. Yep.
And this stuff's evergreen.
I know, and I'm one of those people. I actually spoke to a really good friend yesterday, and we were going through my Notion stuff, and she was looking at it, and she goes, "I've never seen in the 9 years of looking at over hundreds of thousands of hours of stuff, the amount of content that you have." I'm not saying that I'm the top
Come
of,
on, Joey.
but I'm like, I know, and I'm trying to get into that repurposing stuff, and I even have it in Notion where the first thing that there's statuses, and the
Yeah.
first thing that it does is there's two statuses. One is like, did it publish? Is it
Hmm.
ready to publish? Blah blah blah. But then there's a post status that I have, and that first post status is set to default repurpose me. Right. So I can just
Good.
go in and go, give me all my
Good.
repurpose me, and I'll get hundreds and
Good.
hundreds of them. But I love the fact of putting it through the AI to sort
Hmm.
out like how can I repurpose this and make it effective and pique the interest of
Hmm.
my dream clients. And that's what I want to focus on for a second here, because
Okay.
you said it, like, it's so important to know that. And I was just teaching my academy, my private VIP group today, and I
Hmm.
just showed them what I did in terms of this area here. And I'll share with
Okay.
you what I did, and maybe you can help me correct it or make it better or whatever. But
Okay.
from my knowledge of very little knowledge of AI, it is all about the input. The input is the
100%.
most important thing, and we're not
The
talking
prompt.
prompts here. We're not talking prompts
Oh,
yet. we're,
okay.
we're talking about the data
Mm.
input. I should have been more specific. The
Yeah, yeah.
data first, and then the prompting after that.
Hmm.
Okay,
Correct.
so what I did was, uh, I'm a geek on terms of getting customer language and data. What they say, all that kind of stuff, like following the older stuff that we have.
Hmm.
And so I have documents, and pages, and databases of all kinds of, here's the phrases that they're using, here's what they're saying their problem is, here's their wants, here's their needs, here's their desires, right? So I went in and I grabbed all of it, I don't know, just a jumble of it, and I threw it into ChatGPT, and I said,
Good.
and I go, from this data that you have on my customers, tell me what are the top, or no, give me top 10 social posts that,
Hmm.
something like this, 10 social posts that would interest someone with these
Okay.
wants, needs, blah 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 blah, who would want to hire me. And it gave me 10 different things, and I'm like, this is brilliant. And then I went on and prompted after that to start writing things out for me. But it was the data that was the key,
Hmm.
because then it could have went
Yeah.
in there and said, yeah, I kind of help people do this, and give me some ideas for social media, and it probably would have given me some stuff. But I don't
It will.
think that it would have been as specific as what I
Hmm.
got out, because when I showed my clients, they're like, holy
Hmm.
crap, every single one of those I would have been interested in, like, clicking on and reading. I'm like, yeah, because it came from you guys, like, your stuff. You're
Right.
saying, this is my problem, this is what I want. Am I on track here at all? Or,
100%.
yeah,
100%. Yeah.
good.
So there's
Okay.
two different things there. One, if you've been in business a little while and you actually sell stuff, then you will have access to that kind of data.
Mm,
If you're really new or you're still unclear who this is supposed to go to, what you do is you go find one of your competitors that are killing it. And then you download their data and you put it in and say, okay, Alex Hormozy is selling to the same audience I want to sell to. Let's analyze his top 10 YouTube videos. What did they focus on? How long was the engagement? What are they engaging on? What are the topics that are most interesting to people? What got the most comments? I mean, I can take anybody's channel out there and on anything, on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on any of them, and analyze that data and then create my own strategy from it because I know his content is selling to the same audience I want to sell to.
Right on. Okay, so
So you can do it either
that's
way.
really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I was. You know, one of the clients I was talking to today, she was asking, like again to that point, like
Mhm.
I'm just starting out in the process, and I'm always about going in and finding the data yourself and grabbing it. But you just gave a shortcut, so everybody listening to this right now, Audra just saved you hours and weeks, and
Go learn
like
from the experts, you guys. We don't need to
that's
recreate the wheel here.
yeah, that's what this show is all about. That's
Hmm.
amazing. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's talk more about. Let's go back to the strategic part of it.
Sure.
That was a great part of it. Is there any other area that we can jump into in terms of how to look at AI as the strategic partner piece?
I would say so, there probably it's endless. I mean, the
Yeah.
amount of things that we can do with it. But what I would say is just be super hyper focused right now. The goal is not to find new technology and then waste all your time and actually not grow your business from it. So I would say if you want playtime to go see what these chat models will do, that's fine, but schedule it somewhere different and really just say, okay, today I'm going to focus on the sales component. Or for me, it's always whatever task generates me revenue is where I'm starting,
Got
period.
it. Okay.
So
What?
if I
Okay.
look at that, yeah, go ahead.
No, no, no. Keep going. Keep going.
I was just going to say, if I look at that and say, okay, in my business, what tasks do I typically do that generates me revenue that I can hit fast to start bringing some more money in quicker? Because remember, with money, the conversation changes, right? We have more leverage, we can hire
Yes.
more people. There's lots of beautiful things that come from it. So at that beginning, until that revenue is coming in, that's really the only thing you should be focusing on.
Right.
So if I go to AI and say, okay, here's my business, here's what I sell, here's typically who I sell to, this is what my customer looks like. I need more of them. Show me how to leverage what I've already been doing, but how do I scale this? I need some help. I need a strategy. I need a plan. And then I want you to task it out for me. Tell me step by step exactly what I should do with options. And typically it's a conversation. You really need to be able to look at this as there's a box that's full of more information than you will ever be able to consume as a human. It's looking for patterns, it's looking for things you're asking for. And even if you don't know the answer, that's okay. That's what it's for. A lot of people, I think, have this resistance like, I'm supposed to be smarter than the AI is, and I don't know the answer. So, how do I ask for it? But it's the
Yeah.
exact opposite. Be really curious. Come to it and say, look, I've only made $15 with this. I really thought I could make more. Can we run through my business model and you give me some feedback based on your expertise as a marketer or a
Can
salesperson?
Could you ask the AI in a way that, look, I'm stuck in my business. I want to grow it. I don't know. I'm just
Hmm.
making this up on the fly. I want to grow it to $100,000 a year. I've only
Yep.
made like $20,000. I really don't know what to ask you in terms of right to help
Yeah.
me grow my business. Can you help me formulate some questions to ask you? Is that
100%.
yeah? Okay.
Yes. Yes. You can say, I don't know what the answer is. I need you to guide me here. You ask me what you need to know to help for me to create a strategy, and I will answer the questions and then we'll work through the plan. It will
Wow.
do
Wow.
all of that. I'm telling you, if somebody tried to take AI away from me right now,
Yeah.
we're fighting because I am not going to let the amount of coding and productivity and things that I've been able to figure out. And I'm skilled. I mean, I do have some skills. Just what it's been able to do to level me up is just sick.
It's
It's
true.
just,
It's like for me as a marketer, as a writer, content
hmm
creator, copywriter, that side of it, I am
yeah.
totally agree with you because that was where, it was about, oh, this thing is going to pretend to be like me and like the whole era of it's going to replace all this kind of stuff, but it is actually helping me. It's actually being that strategic partner. Like I'm always talking
hmm
to it. I'm saying, I don't let it write the entire thing for me and give me a starting point. Let's brainstorm together. What do you think? Because as you're talking about
hmm
data or content in specific, because I have so much content and because I
hmm
am I am constantly making decisions all day long,
Of
right?
course.
As a coach and all that. So
Yeah.
I'm focused in on my clients. I'm not
hmm
my brain is not elsewhere when I'm focused. So I'm
hmm
constantly making decisions. At the end of the day or end of the week or my content day, there's a lot of decisions that I would have to go through to read the content or even just go into Descript and say, okay, which pieces do I want to clip out here, right? That's still a
A lot.
cognitive load,
Yep.
right? And so I'll give you an
Yeah.
example of this that will maybe open up another door. And I was on the call with my VA, my executive assistant, the other day, and we went through so much stuff. Like it was an hour call, and I record
Okay.
everything. Okay, so then I transcribe it, and I'm like, okay, so what I need you to do is I need you to make an SOP out of this one that we talked about and this
hmm
piece. Okay, so normally what would happen? You would upload the video or the transcript, and they would go through it and type out the. I'm like, wait a minute, before you do that, don't do anything. Okay, I'm gonna throw this into ChatGPT. And I'm telling you, in 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds, it was 15 seconds. And this was the prompt. It was so basic. It was crazy. I said, I'm going to give you a transcript of me and my, of me talking to my VA, and I need you to make an SOP. I didn't even tell it
Yeah. Of
what the SOP was all about.
course. You don't need to.
And I'm telling you, Audra, I don't have to tell you, but anyone listening to this, it was like a jumble. It was so long, the thing that I threw in there, and it found the
hmm
SOP that I needed, and it pulled it out and it gave me all the steps and everything else, and I just had to tweak it a little bit. I was flabbergasted.
Isn't that
I
amazing?
couldn't believe it. That
Yeah.
would have taken hours, hours, hours. Even if you
Yeah.
hired someone else to go do it and watch the video and do all that, right?
Right. We don't
Oh,
want to do that anymore. It's such
no.
a waste. Here, I want to call you on something though.
Okay, go ahead.
You said at the beginning of that, I don't allow it to write all the content. Here's what I'm going to challenge you on.
Yeah.
How is AI writing your content any different than a ghostwriter?
Well, I haven't used the ghostwriter. That's what the thing is. And
Okay.
yeah, it's not that I'm against it writing. It writes a lot of it
hmm
because I've taught
Okay.
it to write like me.
Good.
Okay, so it's not that I'm
Yeah.
against it all, and that's not what
Okay.
I'm saying. So I'll back up and yeah, thank you for calling me out on that. So I love the fact that it gives me a huge portion or a huge push forward to
Okay.
say this is how it is. Now I will go in and I will probably use two or three pushbacks on the AI itself to say,
hmm
okay, I want you to do this now. I want you to do this now. So it'll give me
hmm
it'll write it out and
Yep.
it's like, I want you to do this. And then it comes out and then it's like, wow, it's like I wrote the dang thing. And then I go in
hmm
and I do the final edits. And yes, so I allow it to write.
hmm
But what I'm saying is this is where I wanted to go with you. Where this is where I wanted to go, which was like
Okay.
what really ticks you off when you hear other people saying this is how they're using AI, where
Yeah.
where they go to it and say, oh, all you need is these 10 prompts and you'll make $100 million, like that kind of stuff. So that's what I mean by when I hear people where I'm just going to go to AI and it's going to say, write me a social post to do this. I get it,
hmm hmm
but you still got to go in there and have a little bit of humanizing to it. That's where I'm coming
100%.
from. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think the important thing is AI's evolved far enough that we can upload our brand style guide is what I call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
do I sound? What is important to me? What do I focus on? And then I also add in my workflows. What are my excluded words? How do
Yes.
I not want you to talk? And
Oh wow, that's
the
cool.
more instructions we can give it, the better output we're going to get. And I kind of look at it like it's my assistant. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's human or if it's AI, it's
Yeah.
getting me the same output. I wasn't writing the blog post before. Blog content is important, but it's only important so far, right? So if you're a blogger, you producing the content or really having some control over that output is going to be important. If you're adding blog content to your website, but you actually sell chapstick, the blogs are not going to be as important. So you'll typically hire companies like Content Cucumber or some of these other ghostwriters. You're not producing the content anyways. So
Mm,
who the heck cares
yeah.
if it's AI or not? The
Yeah.
point is it engages your audience. It shows your authority. It still is on brand and on point, and it's valuable content that if somebody spent 5 minutes reading it was worth their time. That's
I
it.
see. Yeah, so you're coming from another perspective that I was never in that world. I was never in
Yeah.
a ghostwriter world or someone else doing it because
Hmm.
my love language or the way that I operate is always about like words. It's always words
Words.
first. That I've always been a writer, and so to me it's like it's easier for me to do that, and
That's
that's
good.
the reason why I was never associated with any of that stuff. Not that
Hmm.
I'm against it. I
Hmm.
know there's a lot of ghostwriters, ghostwriter books, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So and
I
I
couldn't
like the
tell you how
fact.
many. Sorry, I was going
No,
to just say I can't tell you how many influencers didn't actually write their books.
yeah, I know.
I won't tell you. I'll leave
I do.
that cat in
I
the
know a lot
bag.
of them
But
as well. I do. Yeah, so
yeah,
I'm with you on that one for sure. For sure. Um,
yeah. Sorry.
I
Go
love the
ahead.
fact that you said the excluded words. I never thought about that. Like this is why I
Hmm.
love these kind of conversations because little nuggets pop up. By the way, if you're watching, I hope you're writing notes or go back and watch this again. If you're watching us live, let us know by hashtag live. I'd love to know. And
Hmm.
even a hashtag replay if you're watching on the replay. And please, if you want to ask a question or comment or anything, I'm doing my best to monitor them and I can ask Audra for you and get an answer to your question, maybe help you out. So what is the like what would you say that kind of gets under your skin when you hear AI experts talking about stuff and you're
Hmm.
like, no, that's not how we're going to be using it. Anything that comes up, or do you want to go there or not?
Sure. Yeah. 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 I
Okay.
got no issues with that. I would say it depends on where they're using it. So, because my lane is marketing, I'm going to stick with marketing right now. So, somebody that comes out talking about AI that isn't actually a marketer.
Mhm.
So, I'm using AI to enhance what I already did as an expert,
Okay.
right? So, that's a
Yeah.
little bit different versus somebody coming in brand new that knows nothing about the foundation of marketing, how to do it successfully, and then starts saying, I'm going to sell you AI automations when they don't even really understand how it's supposed to work to begin with. That is, I mean, and there's always, that's just technology, right? That's any industry. It goes from the Bitcoin mess that came out, or even when e-commerce evolved and some of these other industries, everybody's going to try to get in, get quick, rich, quick. You just have to kind of let that be. Us that are consistent, that are continually building on our skills, that are continually evolving as industries evolve, we do fine. So
Yeah.
I don't really even play in that arena. I
Right.
do, I'm going to stay in my lane, right? And I'm really focused on results. And if I can't get you the result, then I'm not going to try to sell you that because
Right.
what good would that do me?
Yeah. See, that's where I'm glad you said that because for me, when I look at using AI now, it's more
Hmm.
of I'm letting the experts like yourself figure a lot of stuff out. I know
Hmm.
it's going to change a lot. I'm going to
It is.
follow you guys, and like so, I'm blessed to have a lot of friends like you
Good.
who can teach me. And then what I love to do is look for. I don't want to use the word hack, but it's not hack. It's more of a how can
Process or
yeah how can I
yeah.
incorporate this? So let me back up. Let me
Yeah.
have you read
Yep.
the book Who Not How?
Yeah.
Benjamin
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hardy and
Dan,
Dan
is it?
Sullivan. So
Yeah.
it's,
Dan Sullivan.
getting into that
Yep.
mindset of who can do this, not how can I go do this, right? So I
Well, you have
adopted that.
AI. You have AI
Right.
now. So
So it
AI
was
is your
more
who.
who. And so now it's like, well, what can AI do this now?
Hmm.
And so every process I'm looking at is can AI do this now? Can this happen? And I'm
Yes.
not looking at it as as a I don't normally go into it as looking at how can I don't even know what I'm trying to say. to replace me in a way that I'm lazy, that I don't want to do the work. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for that this thing can take this cognitive load off me so I could apply my superpower to what I really should be doing, which is actually creating content for me. Like this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
This is creating
Mhm.
content. So for me, I
Mhm.
want to be in that zone of
Mhm.
creative and a
Mhm.
communication, like conversations with actual dream
Human.
clients, potential
Yeah.
dream clients. Like, so
Yeah.
some of them are sales conversations, some of them are building relationship conversations, and then in the coaching area. So those three areas of C's was where I want to stay. So the more that AI can take off of my plate, which is why I've got a team and all these other things,
Mhm.
the better it is that I can stay in that zone of genius. That's how I look at the AI. Is how
Okay.
what can this do for me? Which is
Okay.
why, coming back to the repurposing part, like I don't
Mhm.
feel guilty at all about it going, what can you take from this that I should be repurposing on
Right.
LinkedIn, on this and
Okay.
that?
But I'm catching little red flags in your
Okay,
language that
okay,
you're
go ahead.
sharing.
Go
So you
ahead.
know I'm a master practitioner in NLP as well.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, and my degrees are in psychology and behavioral science.
Okay. I
Okay.
love it.
I
I
just
love
wanted to
being called out.
qualify it. So you said at the beginning, replace having AI take on some of the tasks because you're not lazy. You
Right.
should not be looking at AI as taking tasks off your plate because you're lazy or you're not lazy. You are optimizing your business. You are becoming more effective, a stronger member in your business by delegating some of the stuff that is repetitive, necessary, but you do not need to be the one doing it. There's
Right on.
nothing lazy about that.
Right on. Got
It
it.
is about being strategic and about being smart and leaning into a technology that small businesses now have access to that we couldn't compete at that level before because we didn't have this. So we spent time updating WordPress pages or trying to post to social media or looking at data. We don't have to do that stuff anymore. It still needs to happen, but that is our secret weapon. That is nothing about being lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the reason I say those words is because I am in a world where I see a lot of it, where again, that's my pet peeve with it, or where I'm seeing
Mhm.
people think that, oh, now I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to go to AI. It's going to create my entire course. It's going to write all of my emails, all of my sequences, all of these things. And yes, it will help you. It'll get stuff done. But
Mhm.
that's where that laziness piece comes in for me, because like you said, like, these aren't marketers. These are just people like, hey, I'm just going to build an online business type of thing. And here's this AI thing now that can do this for me. That's where I'm jaded about it. Like I'm in that,
Yeah.
and I see it every day. I'm like, no, that's not what this is all about. And so that's where I want, like, I am not that person. Like, I'm just looking at
Right.
it from the processor point to say,
Right.
I do this creative part of it, and
Yeah.
I'm helping it. I love the word the optimize. I'm helping it
Yeah.
optimize my message so I can get more of it out, so I can help more people in the world, but stay in my zone so that repetitiveness or that mental exhaustion doesn't happen of me trying to figure it
Mhm.
out, and then I'm too tired to actually go do the actual task,
The
which is
things
like,
that are your
okay, now I
yeah,
got to
that
go
are really
post
good.
it, now I got to go do this, right? So it frees me up of my time. So it's absolutely incredibly important to our business.
It
So
is.
thank you for calling
And
me out. Keep doing it. So
no, but here's the thing. If we don't lean into these kind of things to really allow us to grow
yeah.
6 months from now, those of us that have leaned in, we're going to be so far ahead of you, you're not going to be able to catch up. I don't mean you specifically, I mean
Yep.
people in general, because I'm not so tied. My identity is not based on if I wrote that SOP or I created that blog post or I posted LinkedIn 14 times this week. My identity and who I am as a professional has nothing to do with that.
100%.
So you got to be able to disconnect from that. What is my goal? My goal is to provide this service to my clients. How I got there is irrelevant. How I want to
Yeah.
spend my time, right? Do I want to be decision fatigued with trying to figure out how to take content and turn it into shorts? Or do I want to spend my time focused on a really strategic plan for my clients so that I can charge them $25,000 for?
Yes, and I 100% agree with that. Like
Yeah.
that's where it is. That's why those three buckets for me is where I want to
Mm-hmm.
spend my time. And
Right.
probably that first piece of that creative will
Mm-hmm.
probably lessen. It'll probably be, do the whole
Mm-hmm.
10, 10, 80, 10 rule. Like, hey, 10% go do
Mm-hmm.
this. I'm going to give you the idea. 80%, the AI is going to do it. Come back and I'll just look at it. The last 10%, give it the check mark, and we're off and running. I mean, that's how I work with my team now,
Yeah.
as it is now. So I totally agree with that. I am not.
Yeah.
I had to get over that too as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
and was like, well, I need to write the SOP, or I need to look at my emails and all of these things. And thankfully, over the last 18 months, I've grown up. I've put big boy pants on and said, you know what? I'm finally going to run
Good.
I'm finally going to run a
That's
business here,
good.
right? So I
That's
totally agree with
awesome.
you.
It takes a minute, right? Because where it's go back to the E-Myth, which actually I am writing a side note. I'm writing an updated version of the E-Myth, but tying in AI.
Nice.
Yeah, I've got it outlined. I've already started in the first few chapters, and it's going to be a spin-off of what does the E-Myth look like today, but with AI in it.
Wow, I can't wait to read
Yeah.
that. That
It's
is
it's it's definitely challenging me because the story's not all the way unraveled yet.
that's right.
So I'm trying to get it far enough where there may have to be a second version once we get a little bit further and AGI comes or agents come, things like that. But yeah, I think it's important. So it's moving from that technician, right? That manager, technician type stuff back into that role. We've become so in the weeds, one, because it required us to be.
Yeah, you're right.
Marketing is a manual process and evolving to none of your clients knew that you were the guy writing the email. None of the clients knew you're sitting there for 14 hours trying to create social media. They
Yeah.
don't care, but it's a necessary piece of marketing online. It's just another marketing channel. People have to stop tying their identity to it
Yeah.
and really focus on why they got into business to begin with and delegate everything else they can, get it off their plate, otherwise they're not going to survive. And some people, in their defense, some people are 100% okay making 100 grand a year. It
Yeah.
works for them. They have a
Yeah.
job, they're not behind, signing into a employer, and I get all that. But for some of us, scaling is the path, and you're never going to be able to scale if you can't let go of silly things like that.
Oh, 100%. That was
Yeah.
a really painful lesson for me for 30 years, 35, 40 years of just like, no, 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 nobody can do it as I could do it. AI is not going to be able to do it as better as I can do it. Like, whatever the excuse was. But
Hmm.
for anybody listening to this, and even if you're not getting right into AI, which I highly think you should, but even just delegating the smaller things off of your plate so you can just know what it feels like to have that release. Just to not be
Wonderful.
doing the simple little things is a huge relief. And that's why you're right. If AI went away today for me, it would be like, now what do I do? Like, now what? Right? Because
Don't make
now,
me go back.
like, oh my gosh, we're so addicted to it, but in a really good way.
Very positive way, or at least so far. I mean, I love my AI, and I do go back to something I do want to stress, especially at the beginning. If you're just getting started, use the free tools. You
Hmm.
don't need to pay for anything. You don't need any fancy software out there. The important thing to remember is all of those third party SaaS tools, right? They're built off of the same thing you have access to. So yes, they've trained their model a little bit more to give you very specific outcomes and things like that. But everything that I've built in this system that I'm getting ready to launch, I use ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, and I use Airtable, and I've ran it all into a software interface. That's it. That is Google Drive. That's the only technology. So as agents evolve and as all this other stuff comes along, this is going to be a very dynamic tool that I didn't go and build my business on third party X and then they go out of business because OpenAI replaced them. Or this one stopped because they don't want to develop agents, or this one stopped because they're not doing GPTs anymore. I mean, so think about the technology that you're going to work with, because there's a learning curve, right? There's a little bit that you've got to dig in, and you're going to have to figure it out. Go to YouTube, the world's encyclopedia, and say, okay, my first task for me is I want to be able to create social media automatically and have it post to my profiles. And just start with something simple like that. And there's a few good videos out there that'll kind of walk you through, so you can start wrapping your head around it. Okay, I need to give it content. It needs to sound like me. And then I want it to create carousels, or I wanted to create shorts with B-roll, and I want it to automatically post. And here's my LinkedIn version, because I don't post the same thing on all my platforms. You're never going to see that from me. So if you follow me on LinkedIn and then you follow me on Facebook, you're never going to see the same post.
Mm.
Every single piece is different.
Based on the originating content,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, okay, go ahead. You want to finish your thought?
Well, just that I don't believe. So if I have if you're following me on all my different platforms, the last thing you want to do is log in and say, oh yeah, Audra just said that on Facebook. Oh yeah, she said that on Twitter. Oh yeah. So you're probably going to unfollow me on one of those, because you don't need to see it 5 times.
I
So
see.
my content will always be different. The blog article could just be off of one article, but I'm going to highlight different things on each platform. They're going to be different images, and it's going to be different content. And I
Ah,
can do that in 5 minutes with AI. It writes it
really?
completely different. Yeah,
Talk about the carousel piece.
sure.
That's
What do you
I'm
want to know?
or the shorts. Yeah, how does it do a short? Does
Well,
it
yeah, so you would do a little bit different workflow, where maybe you're going to create the short with InVideo or Pictory or one of those. Have it actually goes to your Google Drive. Your automation grabs it from the drive, built it into the social post. Carousels is a little bit different. So you build your templates. Now, Canva, we can now connect to Make, but there's another platform called Placid. And
okay?
what Placid allows you to do is go in and build a template. Those posts that you see on LinkedIn all the time that are pretty standard, but they're a really nice, simple design. And maybe they look like a Twitter quote or something like that, where you've
Right.
got a little profile picture and some words.
Yes.
I can build that template ahead of time. So I tell AI, we're going to create a LinkedIn carousel. Here are the 15 cards, right? The 15 different slides. They're on a Google Doc. AI or Make grabs those 15, takes them over to Placid, builds the slides, drops it into a PDF tool, turns it into a PDF, brings it back, puts it into your Google Drive. Make grabs it, and then it puts it into your workflow, and then it schedules it and it goes.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm learning so much. I mean, believe me, I'm getting my behind handed to me on some of this stuff, because it's tough. But some of the things I've built is just incredible.
Now, I know you and I chatted a little bit before about
Yeah.
being like you touched on it a little just seconds ago about not building on like third party
Hmm.
stuff. Can you go into that a little bit and why and maybe explain to someone what an agent is and why
Sure.
you're not really putting all your eggs in one basket in terms of the platform, choosing that thing to be your, I guess
Go
your,
to. Go
yeah,
to tool.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that it's still early. So if we look at technology and this evolution every day, there's a website called Product Hunt, HUNT, that you can go to on a daily basis. And every day, all the new technology comes out. So it could be anywhere from optimizing your Google spreadsheets to setting up some kind of marketing flow. I mean, thousands and thousands of tools come out, right? But what I find with those is OpenAI doesn't really tell you what's coming. So I can use a perfect example. Canvas came out. Did you
Right.
see that announcement?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
So for those of you that follow AI but don't know what Canvas is, when AI is creating content and you're kind of going back and forth, so you say, write my blog post, it gives you the blog content, then you do your edits, and it's this whole conversation. It's a little bit of a pain to try to figure out how to clip out something and put it in a Google Doc for you to try to come up with the latest version. It's messy and it's just super unorganized. And then by the time you get done with copy and pasting all this stuff, it's like, oh my gosh, I have so much content here. Now I got to sort through it as to what I wanted and what I didn't want. It's a major pain. So OpenAI came out with what they're calling Canvas. And what it does is it clips those sections onto a canvas, but within OpenAI. And then I'm doing my edits there with the conversations that are happening versus over here in a Google Doc. So, but every person that made some kind of Google Doc connection, right now they're almost irrelevant.
Mm.
So that's where you get to that technology where you end up using all these third party tools, integrate them into this massive system, and then one of the AI tools replaces it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And so
it's
is
just
that
stick with the basics, right? Right now we just need to stick with the basics and get really good at using it.
what an agent is? What is an agent?
No. So sorry, my lips are chapped, my nose is running.
It's all good.
Sorry. An agent, they're not here yet. Some people have started developing them, some really, really smart developers. Still a little complicated for me, and I'm not finding that they work all the way. But what the goal is of an agent is I can have a marketing strategist, a funnel builder, let's say, and a stats person.
Mm.
Okay, that's my team. So what I would do is I would go to my strategist and I would say, we're going to build a funnel to sell this product. So I need all the assets that go along with that. So my agent, my strategist agent will go through and we'll create a whole plan and they'll tell my now funnel builder all the assets that the funnel builder has to build.
Oh, wow.
Then my funnel builder will build them all and we'll launch it. And then my data person is going to come in and look at everything that my funnel builder did and give feedback as to what's converting, what's not converting, how to make it better, if it's working, if whatever. And then it goes back to your funnel builder to make adjustments. And then the strategist will review it to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to or adjusting the plan based on it. So we'll be able to build these whole systems soon, but agents aren't quite here yet. What we find is what it is it's almost connective prompting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So here's your funnel plan. We're going to sell this product. It's $12. It's going to go to this audience. Create the sales copy. Here's the pain points. Here's the whatever testimonials, da, 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 da. And it will map out all the pieces. But what they're finding right now is it loses track of that and can't get it to the next step.
I
So
see.
in silos, it's pretty good, but trying to connect the dots and then the strategist come back in and offer feedback is not quite there yet,
Right.
but it's
But that's
coming.
that's incredible because I've
Yeah.
had some kind of, and this probably isn't what you're talking about, but to in the same bucket, I would say, conversations with the AI to help me strategize or
Mm-hmm.
to help it learn about my business, and a list of whole bunch of questions that it would ask me, and some of those questions I would answer, like maybe it would give me 5 sets of 3 questions or something. Like, here's the bucket,
Yeah.
here's 3 questions I need to know, here's another 3. And we've had conversations back and forth where I've skipped a couple of questions up there and then I've gone back days,
Mm-hmm.
weeks later and go, yeah, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
go
Of
back to this one. And it just picks up the conversation again. It just
course.
knows it because it's all in that one context,
Thread.
is in
Yeah.
that one thread. Right. So that's
It
weird.
doesn't have to be anymore though. So if you're on a paid plan with
Yeah.
ChatGPT and you have
Okay.
the memory turned on, you
Yes.
could You can reference anything. So typically what I'll do is when I go on to start and say I haven't touched it in a couple days, but I want to pick up a thread that we were previously working on, I
Oh,
will just say, hey, can you go review the conversation we were having about X and then tell me what we were doing because I want to pick up from there. And it'll go
oh,
find it
okay.
and
I
come
didn't
back
know
and
that.
tell me. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that is cool.
It's
Yeah,
sexy.
yeah. I was because I was going back to the same thread all the time.
You don't have to anymore.
Wow, so cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna do that as soon as
Yeah.
we get off this call. So I'm like,
Yeah. You're
wow.
on a paid plan, right? I think it's
Yes,
only on the paid plan that you can do that, but
yes, yes.
unless they've changed it again, right? As you guys listen to this, I mean, 10 minutes after Joey and I finish, they may make a change, but
Yeah.
that's the way it was currently.
So tell us more about like what are you doing in terms of I know you said
Okay.
you're building something. Like, can you
Yeah.
explain a little bit about what that looks like so anybody can understand what you're doing? Maybe they want to
Hmm.
contact you, maybe they want to get a hold of you, but just to give the context of why it's so important that you're building this
Okay.
outside of what everybody else is doing. Like, what's so important about that?
I would say one of the biggest challenges I've had as a marketer for the last 17 years has been getting my clients to put out content consistently. There's so much scope creep there that we just, it gets stuck getting it approved. They don't get the right images. It doesn't happen on time. And everything seems to work in silos. And I mean, for me, this has been one of the biggest revolutionizing processes that I could not ever have imagined that it was actually going to work. I'll give you an example. So when I first started, social media was just social media, right? We posted directly. That was it. We wrote it, we posted it, that was it. There was no way to schedule it, there was no nothing. Everything was done in real time.
Yeah,
Fast forward a couple years, tools like Buffer came along, Hootsuite comes along, Meet Edgar was just
yeah,
like game changing when that came along. I'm really starting to show my years here,
yeah. I remember. I
but
remember. Yeah,
super helpful. Here's the
yeah,
thing: you still had to do the content, you still had to put it in there, you still had to do all the work to write the caption, put the images, blah 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 blah. Everything was still very manual, even though we didn't do the push thing. You did everything else. So okay, still trying to ramp up and get that done consistently with clients. Forget scaling it. It was just, could we even get one out a day or two out a day on all five platforms, right? So it was a lot of work. It was a full-time job for somebody. And if they're not the designer, you still have another person doing that. If they don't write content, you still got a person doing that. And so it's just been a really broken system for a lot of years. Now, for me, this content hub that I'm building, what I do is you set up your brand, right? So the brand is Audra, or the brand is Zendo, or the brand is my AI automation stuff, whatever it is, right? Then you give it your writing style guide, which I've created a template and you just fill in the template. I sound like this. This is my goals. This is my audience. This is how I want to sound. So I've loaded in my own content. I let AI analyze it. We put together a style guide. I give you my excluded keywords. I create all my personas on who I sell to. And then I say, okay, so that foundation is built. I don't ever have to do it again.
mm-hmm.
All I have to say is you're going to write content for Audra. That's it. It accesses everything else. So you only do it once. You could tweak it if you needed to, but
Sure.
I don't need to touch it. Every single piece of content I create from there out sounds like me. So that part's done. So the second part of it was, okay, what are our foundation pieces of creating content? Well, you have YouTube, you have blog posts, you have podcasts, you have newsletters, you have TikTok, and you have training. And that's kind of your major high pillar stuff of content, right? And then each one of those initial pieces of content, you're going to turn into something else. So
Right.
podcast, what does podcast kick off from? Kicks off from a transcript.
Right.
So I built a workflow that says, take my transcript. I want you to write emails. I want you to write social media. I want you to call out guest quotes. I want you to write the emails for the guests. I want you to write the social media for the guest. I want you to write the social media for me. And then I want you to take all that and I want you to write a blog post and create a checklist and whatever else you could think of. Reels, if I want to do faceless stuff, if I want to clip it. And then I want you to put it all in a table. So all I have to do is review and schedule it.
Wow.
And I can do that in 10 minutes.
No way.
Yes. It's sick. It's just stupid. It's just so, it's no different than I was doing before. But that whole process that I just named, the majority of us that do podcasts try to get all that done, but the majority of the time we can't. It's too much. It's too much work.
I got goosebumps listening to you. It's just like I could just see that even just this podcast alone, just taking the
Hmm.
transcript and telling it to do that, of all those things you just said, is
Hmm.
mind blowing. Like,
Hmm.
wow, at the end of this, because I mean that was one of my tasks, is to go in and try to get myself to the point of
Hmm.
letting everybody else do the tasks, like, the
Right.
general things, so that I
Right.
could go back in and look at 4.5 years worth of stuff. I'm going, all
Don't
right,
do
so
it.
what can I
Don't do
do here?
it.
Okay, so
Don't.
you and I got to talk,
You
baby. We
just
got to
take the
get this thing going.
transcript. That's it. So, but if you think about it, so I have a podcast. I paused it for a little while just because I really want to focus on this project. But it took me like 12 hours to produce
Yeah,
even three-quarters of those items I just named.
yeah,
And I was using templates in Gmail, and I'm using Descript, and I'm using Opus Clip to clip
yeah.
out the this. And I mean, so I was using some technology. It was still at least a day or a day and a half to actually
Right.
produce quality stuff. Again, I'm not about putting garbage out. So it's important to me. This is my brand. I want it to represent me. And when you're a marketer, you're held to a little higher standard than if I sold fences, right? If I
Yeah.
sold fences, it'd be a little bit more lenient with me. When you're a marketer, man, you can't have ugly websites or bad marketing. You got to
Yeah.
step up.
Yeah.
But so think about that example and take it across to anything that you do. So a blog post. I have an idea. That's it. Hey, AI, I want to write a blog post about X. Here's my keyword, here's my secondary keyword, here's my target audience. The goal is to generate leads. It's going to this persona, and it starts writing. So what it does is it goes to Perplexity, gives me some stats, and then I give it feedback saying, yeah, wow, these are really good. Let's include it in the content. It creates an outline for me, gives me the outline of what the blog post is going to be about, then writes the blog post, creates my thumbnail, writes my excerpt, writes my meta description, takes it all, posts it on WordPress. Then it creates my email to say, hey, we've got a new blog post. Here's the highlight. Then it creates all my social media and then my reels if I'm going to do reels, or typically
So
that's it.
the reels is okay. I'm still stuck on the
It
reels
just
part.
gives you a script. So what
Got
it
it.
will do, this
Got
initial
it.
one, I'll add video afterwards, but I need to get everybody used to creating content first.
Got it.
Then
Okay.
we'll add in the video element to it. So the pictures are there, and then the content is there,
So
and then we'll add the videos.
it's not like reels where I could clip you and I talking right now, like in Descript, basically. It's not
Not
that.
yet. No, no,
Okay.
Airtable can't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
could set up an automation that would go to Descript and cut them. Yeah, but that would be a different kind of automation. The first one is just repurposing content that you're already creating, right?
Yes.
So you've already got a YouTube video or you've already got a podcast recording. So there's
Yes.
no video that really needs to be done there. I want to help you distribute it. So think of this more of a distribution and a repurpose kind of thing. We'll
Got
write the
it.
content, but we need to distribute it and repurpose it consistently. There's no way that as small business owners, You can scale 100 pieces, 200 pieces of content a week without this kind of support.
You're
You just
right.
can't.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where I'm
Even
trying to get people to.
okay, this is massive. When is this thing's going to be ready?
I'm almost done.
Okay. When it's ready, can you let me know and we can
Yeah.
have you back and maybe we can see a
Okay.
demo of it or something
Yeah.
or that kind of
It
stuff?
would
Would
be
you be open
fun.
to that?
100%.
All right, cool. I am super excited. Audra,
It's
you
almost done.
I you're blowing me away. This is amazing. I am super excited for you, and I'm glad that you are on that level to help all these marketers, to help us get our message out into the world, to help more
Yeah.
people and take all of that load off of us. So thank you for
Yeah.
doing and initiating that job. And then again, just want to thank you. I'm grateful for you being here after the aftermath of all that stuff that happened with you. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for calling me out. Thank you for sharing all of your wisdom. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I should have asked you about this, so we can leave on a even a bigger, higher note?
No, I would just say stop playing. Just, it's time to get serious about it and realize what kind of opportunity we've been given.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
totally agree. Thank you, Audra. We will see you back soon. I think it's gonna be really soon. And thank you for watching. If you're watching on the replay, let us know with a hashtag replay or hashtag live if you're just ending with us right now. We will see you next week for another episode of Heart Centered Marketing. Have a great night,
Thanks,
everyone.
Joey.
Thank you.